Whoo! What's going on, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. If you could tell by the title, it's, black male perspective or black man perspective from, I'm tripping right now, from 55 to 25. Had to turn my ringer down, so y'all got to excuse that. So what this is about is this whole climate, this whole political climate. The thing that happened with Ice Cube, I did a video about that earlier, where I think the black community needs to have this discussion of when I'm using 55 to 25, I'm in the middle. So usually when they do generations, they do it like in a 15-year window, right? So 55 is one generation, 40 is another generation, 25 is another generation. And what people seem to not understand is you're dealing with 3 generations of black men, and you want these black men to be on one accord, right? So you want these brothers to be on one accord when it comes to issues as far as the black community, as far as life in the black community, as far as their mental perspective of the community itself, without taking into consideration that that's not going to happen, because those 3 generations of men have 3 different experiences. 3 different experiences, not the same. And when I thought about guys 55 and up, y'all got to give me a second. I'm trying to do something at the same time, because I remember getting into it about, not getting into it, brothers telling me they couldn't do anything as far as the page is concerned because of my channel or whatever. So what I'm about to do is I'm gonna get to that now. Absolutely. So I got my phone here with me, so I'm gonna get on that. Okay, Avron, what's popping? So first and foremost, guys who are 55 have a different outlook than guys that are 40, who have a different outlook than guys who are 25. The guys who are 55 are a generation of men who, what's up, American Negro, who they have a lot more reverence towards their mothers and the women in the community than the guys who are 40. And the guys who are 25, I would say, have less than the guys who are 40. And because the guys who are 40 are kind of in the middle. I love your mama, but you got some issues. The guys that are 55, they love my mama did it all for my mama. The guys that are 25, they're like, whatever. So when it comes to this climate, thinking for some odd reason that people are going to believe that all these black men need to come together. Sheep, what's happening? All these men need to come together and do the exact same thing. It's like, not so much. Not so much. I'm going to tell you why. They don't have the same experience. See, guys who are 55 and up, they view almost on a long, almost as a deity figure. Guys who are 40, no. Guys who are 25, absolutely not. So when you're asking these guys, come together, because you're seeing black men, you need to come with the women and come with the women, do what the women want. Without taking into consideration, you're dealing with 3 different generations with 3 different experiences about the females in their lives. See, you would say the guy's 55, that was my daddy was a deadbeat type of. The guy's 40, it's like, my dad wasn't there, but was he a deadbeat as a father? And he was a deadbeat as a father, and I was a deadbeat as a child, and my mother was a deadbeat as a mother. And then you guys at 25 is like it's all BS. So to expect that we're gonna get the community together is a lie. It's a lie that a lot of people haven't have a hard time dealing with at this particular junction. And I'm sitting there like, okay, how don't y'all know this? How don't you know this? Uh-oh. Okay. And the reason why I'm saying how don't you know this is because y'all been seeing this go on for year and year after year after year after year in our community. So what winds up happening is you think that when it comes to black men voting Democratic or Republican, or black men being conservative or liberal, that these guys from the older generation who are 55, the guys who are younger than them are voting or have the same belief systems. What's up, Ra? How you feeling, fam? And they don't. You're dealing with when I say 55, that's really post civil rights era type of guys. When I say 40, that's really crack era type of guys. Sister, what's happening? I'm bugging. My eyes is tripping right now. Savage, what's popping? My eyes is tripping right now. You know, so what winds up happening is you're dealing with, and then you got 25, you're dealing with millennials, in a sense, who like, they weren't civil rights, they weren't post civil rights, they weren't really, the 80s, 90s drug era, they really wasn't that. They were babies in that era. You get what I'm saying? Babies. So they heard the stories, but they didn't actually feel the weight of it. And so you're assuming that everybody is on the exact same page, the exact same way. The exact same page, the exact same way, and it's not. Got you, fam. So here's where we at with it. Now that has come into play, you got to ask yourself, what are these guys, what are their politics, right? Because when we talk about political agendas, this is what we're missing out on. It's you're thinking these guys' politics are the same, but I'm gonna get into that. No, I'm gonna jump to that right now. Their politics is different because their upbringing is different. So what I mean by that is, Rollo, what's popping, man? It absolutely is, Rob. It absolutely is. So, so what's going on with this scenario is very simple. You're the 55 generation, they were able to be the Rolling Stones of the communities if they were Rolling Stones. But, they were able to be free because after the civil rights era, you notice that's when, they were in the beginning of the feminism as boys. Post civil rights, when women had the womanhood feminism. So that's like second wave feminism. So they were raised. What's up, Tony? So they were raised to be more, how can I say this? More swayed by female opinion and point of view. So they were part of the issue. Guys 40, we were the guys really in third wave feminism where that was kicking off. So our parenting experience, is different. And the guys 25, they were babies in the third wave thing, and they don't want no parts of that. You get what I'm saying? So now you got 55 who was the stepdaddy kind of generation. You got 40 who's the baby daddy generation, and you got 25 who the Maury, that ain't my baby situation. That's what you got. Rod, thanks, fam. You know, salute to you. Thank you. So now this is where we at. Levi, what's happening, man? You know, thank you. So now that's where we need to go. So once you get into that era, you get into a different realm of ideology. And in that different realm of ideology, you wind up having fractures in the black community. Because the men looking back at it are not liking their treatment within the community. So the guys who were 55 in that generation, the women talked about them as if they were deadbeats. The guys who are in the 40 aspect, like I said, they realized they got treated bad because of they was deadbeats. The men before y'all was deadbeats. So when you would date the women in your generation, they acting funny with you about something that their mom told them. Just like their mom told you something about your father, and then you had an issue with your dad, and then you became a grown man and you started to realize, I didn't get told the whole story. And now you see the 25 like, I know it's a lie. I know it's a lie. So now you're looking at the guys who 55 who are telling you the women, you like they simps. You look at the guys who were the 40 range, like half simp, half red pill. And you got the guys who are the 25 who half simp, half red pill rage. They're not having it. Calvin, thanks, fam. They're not having it. Like they like, I ain't got to talk to you. I ain't got to deal with you. I ain't got to do like all of that stuff is out the window. Now, I lay down that part to start the political part. See, when it comes to this thing, we'll see when the numbers pan out on November 3rd. But the same thing with them people going, ladies mad at Ice Cube for talking to Trump. I said endorsing earlier. I got it. I changed the title, y'all. But talking to Trump says a lot. And I'm going to tell you why. Nobody ever considered the fact that maybe these men who are in the 40 generation and the 25 generation don't believe that that the black woman is unified with the black man on the same page. Nobody believes that. Rosters, what's happening? Nobody believes that. You want to know why? Because to vote for a black female agenda, you're also voting for, how can I put this? Let me rewind this a little bit. The vast majority of our community is unmarried, single parent households. So you got a bunch of baby daddies who have been screwed by the system, and that system has also empowered their quote unquote baby mom. So don't tell these guys who are baby daddies that we need to come together and unify and just vote Democratic because the women got it. When the guys are like, no, the women don't got it, because even if I'm a baby daddy, I already know I'm getting blamed for my child's bad behavior. CJ, what's happening? Levi, what's happening? So I'm not going to vote for your agenda because when it comes to the family agenda, you ain't for family. Dad is an afterthought unless something bad happens. So I'm not going to vote for you because I don't trust your um, political ideology. And the guys 55 don't understand that. They were viewed as deadbeats who walked away. They didn't have to, that's the generation. My mama worked 2 jobs. My mama worked 3 jobs. My mama worked 16 to 18 hours every day, 7 days a week, no vacation. My mama did that. And she did it all. So they like, vote with the black woman. The black woman. If the black woman says we need to go this way, this is where we need to go. And brothers looking at him like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not that guy. My mama didn't work 16 hours a day in 2 jobs. My mama worked a little bit, paid child support, and she cussed me out as a kid for a very long time. I got you, Daniel. My bad. What's up, Bruce? How can interracial? Okay, I get what you're saying, Bruce. What I'm saying is they are faster to red because they're younger. They're in red pill rage. Red pill ain't about necessarily like ain't necessarily a racial issue. It's a male female dynamic issue. But I get your point. I get your point. You know, hey, yeah, Roster, just put the video out. It's always all love with me. But if you want to do the PayPal thing, it's in the link. It's in the description box. Here's the thing. So now you want politics. You want these guys to vote your political ideology because the generations are different. You got a generation of mama knows best to a generation of double minority, back to back. See the guys who knew the women in their lives as double minority. What's up, Bucket? The guys who knew the women as double minorities, they don't have the same political view because she's a double minority. You know what I'm saying? She's a double minority. So when we talk about the black issues, and when people say minority or people of color, that doesn't, at this particular juncture, that doesn't do anything for black men. Because black men are the only people in the group that are a specific group. Black men. Black women aren't a specific group. They're black, then they're women, then they're people of color, then they're LGBT. See, they take on multiple hats, which they don't benefit from collectively, but they take on the hats. That's their thing. That's their whatever. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Hold on, something's right. Hold on, player. This is the first time in Black history that black men are thinking for themselves and not going along to get along, which is great to see. I mean, don't stop. Salute to that. I don't think we were going along to get along in the beginning. I think we were adjusting. I think like because it's talking to full circle was happening, and we was talking about this earlier where I was saying the Hispanic community, especially the men, they're doing everything that black men did in the past already in America. They're doing all of that. How you supposed to get ahead in life? So that's what's going on. So now we have this issue. You know what I'm saying? We have this issue, this issue, this issue. Man, I appreciate it, Bruce, but it's all love. Don't think it's not. So now we have this thing going on where we're playing this game and we're trying to get it together. And when we're trying to get it together, it ends bad. Because it ends bad because, how can I put this? We're not looking at the society in the same way. And what I mean by that is the men are viewing the society different from the women. Completely differently. We have a different perspective and point of view. So but amongst ourselves, we have different points of view. 55-year-old men have a different point of view than 40-year-old men. And if I say 55, I could say what I mean by generation is, say, if somebody wants to stretch it out from 70 to 55, from 54 to 4, from 39 to 25. You get what I'm saying? The 15-year split. But you see this. This is when you see Roland Martin getting that Ice Cube for, man, you know, I'm trying to make sure you vote this way. Why? Why? Why do you want these guys to do this? Do you have a real, because when we talk about the black community as a collective, people want black men to vote a certain way, but they don't really. The Democratic Party has nothing for black men. The Republican Party really has nothing for black men. And the black community, which consists of the women first and then the children second, have nothing for black men. So I don't understand why people are thinking that something is going to coerce the majority of black men who are in the whole voting block from 18 to 100, that they're all going to same page. We together. No, we're not. No, we're not. See, we're not together when we in family court. We're not together when when you're a double minority. We're not together when how can I put this? When black men put black women in a good position in life, and then when black women decide to put anybody else but a black man in a good position in life, if we help them get to a certain space. So we're not on the same page. Shout out to Sister George and Concrete Rose, like I said before, because they did a podcast about race versus gender first. And the thing about that is, if black men normally get in a position, you're gonna see a black woman hire. If he doesn't hire a black woman, he's gonna take care of a black woman. And mine was popping. But what also happens is you deal with this dynamic where if a black woman is in a good position, the last thing she wants to do is make sure a black man comes up. We've come to the crossroads. I see you on that. I got you, Bruce. Hold up. So let's get to another part of this. I'm sorry. Another part of this happens to be social norms. Because I'm going to get to the gender and race thing first. But the social norms. Black men from 55 have a different social norm than black men from 40 than black men from 25. So you have, like I said, post-civil rights era, where I would say you have a more refined black man in that demographic. 40 era, you have a more street black man. 25 era, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, Roger. I'm not good people. I keep telling you this, man. I'll be doing it. I'm not good people. And Roger, if you want to come on, when I open it up, you definitely come on, fam. Don't ever assume you can't. You have this issue now where along the way we're dealing with this. Trent, what's happening? We're dealing with this issue. Like, oh my bad. The 25 generation is the gender fluidity issue. So now we're gonna have an issue that comes through with that too. And I'm like, a lot of things don't matter. Hold up. Okay. Because I forgot Black, Afro Dynamite has crazy scenes in it too, but appreciate it. It's just my other room. So Levi, thanks, fam. So what winds up happening is, at the end of the day, these guys look at life in a more. One looks at life in a more refined way as they're older. One looks at life in a more street way that's relaxed when they get older, and one is in is caught in this um, gender neutral society. And you see this too often. So we all do not think alike. We all were groomed differently in society. The only thing that we have in common is being black men and dealing with the social norms of stereotypes and racism. We all deal with the stereotypes and racism, but we deal with it in a different way. Like I said, the old school, the 55 guys, they were the abusers, the deadbeat dads, the men who were okay, the men who were um, treating the women so bad. But at the same time, they were partially the guys that we need to be like. We were, I'm talking about the 40 part, we were the thugs, the super predators, the drug dealer, the blah, blah, blah guy, the negative, you know, but we were street, but at the same time, we were a different breed, more violent, right? But we had a thing for women where we didn't, we ain't do women dirty. And we look at the current generation, not current generation, but the 25 is soft because they're confused, not knowing, not knowing who they should be. What's up? Yeah. What's happening? I don't want to use the cuss word, but you know what I'm saying? You mean you doggone right as Afro Samurai. Y'all gotta. I remember I forgot the scene where the girl was doing the thing, so I got to make sure I don't put that one on TV. You dig? The fighting scenes can rock, but the other scene can't. So that's a whole nother issue. So what winds up happening is we're dealing with too much, too fast. Seneca was popping. King, what's going on? We're dealing with too much that just can't be handled. And at the end of the day, we don't know what we're doing. We really don't know what we're doing. So now I got to talk about, you know what? Let me cut the camera off. I think that's the sex scene. I forgot about that. Okay, no, it's not. It's not. It's not. All right, all right. I had to look back. I saw the thing go in the air. But we're dealing with a different aspect. I just got a call as my mom, so y'all gotta excuse that. Now let's get to the gender first, race first thing. Like I said before, Title IX is gender first. The double minority is gender first. The mothers having winning custody 9 times out of 10 is gender first. It's not a race first thing. You need to uplift the black community, and we need to be pro-black. And I've said this years ago, and people have said it numerous times. When people say be pro-black, it's normally they're saying be pro-black woman. They're not saying be pro-black man and woman, or pro-black family. It's pro-black woman, and then trickle down after that. And that's gender first. That's not a race first. It's not group first. So you got the guys who are 55. They come off as their perspective is being black first is the black woman is a queen, is a god, and guys like, I ain't trying to hit it. I'm trying to hit it. It's not being black first. Then you got the guys who are dealing with the aspect of, I understand that being a black community and black first is a hustle for some people, because some people say that they're black first, but they're not. They are black. They're black woman first, and guys realize that because their families who are saying we need to be unified and black, this, that, and the third. Now hold up. Right, my bad. Well, let me know. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Okay, well, I missed it. I missed it, Rob, because I was going. So what winds up happening is we're in this scenario where we're playing. We're not being real. Up. Let me you know, because I remember the black samurai, Afro samurai was about to kill somebody. Okay. I got it. The color purple thing. That's right, Daniel. So that was the killing, but I didn't want the sex part in there. So now we're at that point. It's definitely with the color purple stuff. I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it together. Trying to keep it together. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Afro. So I got to cut this out. I love that. I love that movie though. I love that movie. So now we get back to this gender stuff. Nobody, when the last president was in office, we have an issue, and the issue was the only black agenda that was for black male was the My Brother's Keeper initiative, and black women killed it. I'm not gonna say it's black women in general, but predominantly black women killed it. So to have guys fight for Title IX and to fight for you know intersectionality and fight for feminism, and then turn around and these guys, when it's time to do the My Brothers initiative, you kill that stuff. Yeah, I know it's one more after this, and I forget where it's at. You know, I forget where it's at. I ain't watched this in about 2 years, but to deal with the My Brothers initiative is a problem. Yeah, the Detroit 300 too. Thank you, Young Jay. And what's up to you? So now we have that. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, we have that issue. And once we have that issue, it becomes negative, very negative, as far as a political sense. And now you got three generations guys who kind of look at the same. The same thing when Obama went to the school. Appreciate it, when Obama went to the school, to the college, and he was like, y'all dudes need to stop abandoning y'all kids. He's part of them 55-year-old guys, you know what I'm saying, who believe the abandonment crap. Like, even with his own father, he believed it, but he didn't obviously believe that racism had anything to do with it. My dad is just a deadbeat. Okay. So your dad was from Africa, got with your mom, who's in America, and in a time where racism was epic, and your own family calls you racial epithets, but that's not an issue. Say what you want, but it messes the whole scenario up. It messes the whole scenario up. So now we're playing this game. Like, people want to act like the past don't exist when it does. It absolutely does. You know, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me see something. Roger, you there? Let me see if you're still in there, Roger. Hold up. Type one if you in there, Roger. Cause I ain't gonna cause I wanna have this discussion, but at the same time, I don't want this black samurai to mess up anything. So it's easy to cut this thing off. So and I might just have to do that. Actually, that's probably what I'm about to do now. So give me 1 second. Let me give you 1 second. Uh, Ah. Okay. Okay, now we back at it because that's gonna become a problem. So I got to put something else in. So let me get back to it now. You're dealing with a society of men who, for all intents and purposes, have completely different issues with society. Now, when I say people things got killed, they got killed. See, Bill Cosby went down the same as R. Kelly, right? And people forgot that, you know, what's up, Rex? Yeah, I'm gonna get to the rewriting history too, and that's becoming a problem too. Bruce, sketch it. What's happening? Sketch one. What's popping? So now we're at this juncture where black men are looking at things from three different points of views, whether it's generationally, whether it's politically, and now what I'm about to get to is the financial aspect of it. You got three generations of men who had three different financial outcomes or having three different financial outcomes. So you having guys who are 55 and up, some, what's up, James? Some working, some got their stuff together, some don't. But it really wasn't divorce that broke them. It really wasn't child support that broke them. It was something else. Then you got guys who in the 40 generation group who financially it's child support and divorce, that's their biggest financial um, their biggest financial issue. And then you got the 25-year-old group who basically have to deal with no legacy, nothing to inherit, maybe student loans, and basically being taught to be fiscally irresponsible. And that's their issue. So you're going to gravitate to whoever fits your issue. Now, the people who are the youngest in that have the least amount of money to play with because of their age. The people who are oldest in that, a lot of older people are struggling. That's why you hear homelessness, and it's predominantly black men because there are no social programs for black men who are financially struggling. There's nothing to hold you up in this society, and there's nobody to help you or hold you up in this society also. So now you got that issue. So the guys in the middle are actually guys who getting it the worst because some of those guys have financial loans too. But the difference is, I think around the late 90s, early 2000s, I would say was the last of when you can get an affordable education. I think after that, it exploded. Just exploded. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember being an out-of-state student my first semester, and that was actually being out of state. That actually was $5,000 total. Now that's like the out-of-state student fee. You get what I'm saying? And that was like what started in '97, graduated in 2001. So that was from '97 to 2001. That's how it was. So depending on the college you was going to, depends on the amount of money that was spent. But the guys in my age group, normally their biggest issues are either child support, divorce, or child support. That's what's financially crippling them. Now, I'm not going to say I got older guys in my family who had child support issues, but child support didn't hit you for as much money if you look at inflation and whatnot. So if you made a good amount of money back in the day, you weren't paying the same. You get what I'm saying? So I think my granddad was paying. Like my granddad was paying. He told my dad he's paying like $50 for child support for two kids for them, and I think my dad was he was like 400 or something like that. So that price keeps going up for one kid. You know what I'm saying? So that price keeps going up and up and up and up and up. So for the younger guys, the price of college keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Now the question is, when college becomes more digitalized, what's going to happen? Because when college becomes digital, you're going to have to take the out-of-state fee away, or will you? Because they might want to keep their income. So now you got a skill level that goes along with the economic part. The older guys, I would say, were more skilled with their hands, to the younger guys being more skilled with technology, and everybody else in the middle. What's up? What's up, Art? God, dog, man, my chair is fighting me right now. It doesn't like me right now. Okay, fine. You know what I'm saying? So now we have this issue. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened to my phone. You know, so now we have this issue. And this issue comes along every few years. Reach certain heights and well, yeah, you're right about that, Bruce. Jesus. Jeez. Hold up. Okay, no problem, Roger. No problem. No problem, fam. So now we're in this thing where, and I gotta put it there, where the financial situation has empowered the women. You know, whether divorce has empowered them, child support has empowered them, Title IX has empowered them. Title IX is not necessarily a bad thing. Affirmative action has empowered them, and you're seeing black men in some ways say, "I'm not hating on you. I'm not hating on how you getting it. I'm not hating that you're getting it. I don't like how you got it, because the way you got it is you basically use me as a shield in one hand and as a sacrificial lamb in another, and the guys ain't feeling that." See, when people talk about in the 80s, they used to talk about affirmative action hires as you're hiring somebody unqualified. And as it evolved to unqualified people, it was only black people was the only ones unqualified. You get what I'm saying? And then it evolved to black men were the only ones unqualified, which became an issue, because now you're seeing black men that looked at as unqualified, or black men are stupid, or black men don't know what we're doing, this, that, and the third. But we have this one major issue in society where, if we so stupid, how come you keep asking us for advice when everything falls down? How come you keep doing it? What's the big deal with it? What is, yeah, I know Trinity trying to take away affirmative action, because affirmative action is not going to help, has not helped black men. Taking away affirmative action, like, people don't think about it. The major group that's going to be hurt by affirmative action is white women. That's who's going to get hit the hardest for the affirmative action, white women. Because, truth be told, if you look at society, the H-1B1 visa should have let you know the incompetence of American educational system. Because when you have to outsource intelligence, while you have affirmative action, and the women are benefiting, and their own women are benefiting from affirmative action, but you're losing ground in the bigger economic stage, which is the world. So if people don't understand what I mean by that is, in the next 10 to 20 years, it's estimated that China will be the number one economy in the world, and then India will be the number two economy in the world, and the United States will be the number three economy in the world. And what that means is, when you think about, they think about Asians as being the model minority, but Asians have been taking over the tech sector, and Asians have been taking over the ability to produce. You know what I'm saying? Hood servitors, what's popping? I was listening to you earlier. Have taken away the ability to produce. Now we have a whole different problem. So what winds up happening is the skill set of Americans has went to the trash, to trash, because we as the black community keep talking about, what we need out of this country, but without taking into consideration, we're not producing anything in this country. Well, I can't say we're not producing anything because, truth be told, ironically, hip hop is like the number 2 or 4 export of American society. So that does say a lot. Where a music form is actually in the top 5 of exports in this country. You know what I'm saying? Savage, what's popping? You know, right? I definitely remember that. So now we're playing this game where the guys are at a disadvantage because you don't see the guys not just in tech, but not necessarily in engineering. Math, I'm not even gonna bring math into the equation. Reason I'm saying that, science, technology, engineering, math is out of the equation for me because to me it looks like they've automated math. Like we've been playing with calculators on our phones since I was a child. So I'm not too surprised that if somebody is not good at math. I think even mathematicians at this particular point aren't as good as aren't as good as aren't as good at math because we're not using our brains to process information, especially mathematically. But because we're not in which chemistry, geology in a sense, because we're not in agriculture anymore. We're not doing those things. And you can say that the guys 55, that generation, didn't teach the guys 40 something, because I think the middle generation between 55, 40, and 25 have a bit of both, have a bit of the old school hands-on, a bit of the new school technology. And I think the old 55 folks, they're not really technological, they're not tech savvy. The wine getting me. And the youth are not hands-on at anything. So they don't know how to actually do something hands-on. Because back in the day, the old school guys weren't necessarily engineers, but they can build an engine or take an engine apart or know how an engine works and figure out the pieces in it. You know what I'm saying? They knew how to, you didn't necessarily need an electrician. You didn't necessarily need a plumber or somebody in trade. You didn't necessarily need a roofer or anything like that. It was somebody that was in your family knew how to do it. So now we don't have that anymore. We're basically outsourcing the skill sets of maintaining the society, which the reason I say math is not a big of equation, because math really comes into play with the economic sector, investing. And unfortunately, even when you invest, they'll tell you, now a lot of investing is based on speculation. Speculation is not necessarily math, speculation. So that's more rumor than math, which is weird, but that's what it is. So you trying to jump on a wave. Now, if you do just straight mathematical equations for profit and loss or gains or betting against the market, you can use actually the apps themselves to help you mathematically figure out the patterns. You don't have to watch it and do the numbers yourself. The computer already does it for you. But even when it comes to investing, you see all 3 generations of men we are lacking in that aspect. Investment is one of our biggest flaws. It's not just in business, it's investment, because we don't know how the money works per se. Pablo, what's happening? My bad, fam. That's one. Okay, I'm putting it down. So this is where we at. And unfortunately, for other people looking at us, the various things that we are good at, people lump all us in together as one big black man. So those three different generations are one big black man, which insults the three different generations. You know, I'm not the 55 generation, I'm the 40 generation. I'm not the 25 generation. We're not the same. We ain't. You know, how can I be 40 and I'm exactly like a 25-year-old and I'm exactly like a 55-year-old? That's insulting. That means I'm young and old at the same time and I have no wisdom. I'm just the same. There is no process. There is no wisdom I can get from the older guys because I'm just like them. There is no, I have no maturity for my age because I'm just like the younger guys. It's insulting. So when it becomes insulting and the guys respond, people have an issue. And I'm like, you have the issue because you thought insulting these guys was okay. And it's not. It absolutely is not. But this is the game we're playing. And for a lot of people, you're not taking in the perspective that these black men are not playing. It's not a joke to us. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, you know what? I got like what? So you got January, December? Well, whichever one. My math is off because, like I said, the wine. You know, we're at, in some ways, an advantage, in some ways, a disadvantage. Like if the economy collapses, the black men who are, I would say, 40 to 55 are at an advantage. We know how to operate with little to nothing. The 25s, not so much, because they had more of a privileged life than both groups. You know, aha. So I got you. I got you. You know, so now when that time come around, I got to tell you happy birthday. Don't make me forget because I will forget. So we're dealing with this society that doesn't necessarily get it. They don't get how brothers are. They don't get what brothers are about. You know, they don't get how this is becoming a problem. Man, King, I see that because that's another thing. You know about um, being hands on. You're willing to self teach. You're willing to be self taught. You're willing to put forth the effort to teach yourself how to do something. That has died down in society immensely. So now we're gonna play this game that a lot of people don't want to play. Hold up, Roger. You said 10 minutes. Let me see where you let me know if you good. Let me know if you good. Hold up. Because we are not good people. Because now I'm looking at, everybody wanting guys. I forgot what was it Simone Sanders when she told Luke to shut up. You know, the reason I'm saying that is because I think the older black men are starting to realize the third wave feminism, the disrespect that came with it. And they start to realize the undertones of the second wave feminism because the third wave basically came because those older women taught their daughters that the men that they were in their generation were no good. And then and basically the men coming out after those men are going to be worse. And the irony of that was the women in that generation who said the men that were their daughters' age were going to be worse than the men that they were with were predominantly raising the boys. So ironically, in some ways, it's like, did you purposely raise these boys negatively, or did you purposely put a bad stereotype on these boys so they can be looked at as less than? Because black female success has not always, but has of late, the last 30, 40 years, has been linked to being an enemy of black men because black men are no good. You have to get an education because these black men are no good. You have to get a career because these black men are no good. You have to get a job because these black men are no good. You have to, if you get pregnant, you have to take care of the baby on your own because these black men are no good. This is where things went. And now when you're seeing this, time has actually shown that it wasn't the black men who were no good. And that's becoming an issue. And as long as we sit down and do what the quote unquote the women say, it's gonna still look like the black men are no good. Because the vast majority of the women don't say anything positive about black men to each other, to themselves first, then to each other, and then to the children and society after that. Because if you go from the black community out, it's a problem. You don't hear these sisters saying that the men are good when they're talking to other men. A lot of times when black men are good is when we're either dead or we're not in somebody's life anymore. And what you're seeing is with the guys who are in the 55 range. Montana, what's popping? Simone, you cold for that. You cold for that. Dog, what's popping? You cold for that, but I definitely get what you're saying. Java. But what winds up happening is now the older guys are starting to get, infused into their daughters' lives again. And the women from our generation, I would say, are really coming to grips with the fact that their mama didn't tell them the truth. But those women have taught their daughters that the truth that their quote unquote truth that came from their mother's perspective. So now they are all into the man hate to the point where they're getting the alphabet on. And the irony of it is, these women can view a woman who's emulating a man as more man than a man who's being a man, which has become a problem. Now, are they some guys out here who are soft? Yeah. But it's to the point that I remember good friend of mine, he said, what's the funny part about it? This society is, what's going to wind up happening is, women get shook when they're dealing with a real man because they don't know what that is. And it's like, oh man, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Because when you're dealing with a real man, you're dealing with expectation standards, discipline, self-discipline, integrity, and there's no margin for error as far as trying to use people to get over. You're not dealing with that. You're not dealing with that whatsoever. Hold up. All right, Roger. Hold up, Roger. Hold up. I'm doing what you said to do earlier, so give me 1 second, fam. It's done. It's done. So this, I'm going to put the link in the chat. This for Roger, folks. So I'm just letting y'all know. I'm going to change this a little bit and then cut this camera off when he show up in the back chat and we good. So, 1 second. Okay. This is where we're headed. This is definitely where we're headed in the society. Let me cut this camera off real quick. There we go. So now we're in a situation where you're dealing with all of us the same way. Gotcha, Roger.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm not a good people. You know this already.
You one of the better ones, L.A.R. You one of the better ones, that's for sure.
So, go. You know what? Start wherever you want to start.
Well, I mean, I think you're making some good points, and when it comes down to it, we have generations of men now that have been taught that you really don't need to do much. That's really what's been going on, and women have pushed this in our community, and then they now are upset that they have men in the community that haven't been taught to do much, and it's kind of ridiculous to a certain degree, and a lot of us. When we're older, we just don't see things the same way as people that's younger. As a person, I'm 43, so as a person who has parents that had to do stuff, my dad and all his brothers, honestly, were all in various forms of construction. There's just stuff you had to know how to do, and even with me being a son of a person that was involved in that. There's like certain stuff I know. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm at a level of a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter or anything like that. But there's certain stuff that I know because I had to help a plumber, an electrician, and a carpenter because that's the field of work they were involved in. And they taught us to, you know what I'm saying, depend on each other. They taught us to be able to go to anything, look at it, start making measurements, and simply figure out how to get it done. We were taught that there was never a reason why you couldn't get something done. The beginning to your solution will always be between your ears. And a lot of kids nowadays, they're not really being taught this. You know, and you can tell by the adult men that they're not really being taught this. And as I was saying on my show earlier today, there is a specific reason why I teach even young ladies that I talk to. You don't want, if a guy is from a single mother home, and it's not me having anything against anyone personally, but if a guy's from a single mother home, 9 times out of 10, don't talk to him in any kind of relationship format until he's at least 25 years old. Because I feel he needs at least 7 years in the world of talking to men. And a lot of us we start out bad because we're not used to dealing with male responsibility. You know, um, even when people try to make us responsible for stuff that we really shouldn't even be responsible for, they give us no tools to take that responsibility on. You know, you as a younger guy, you're just being thrown to the wolves with no guidance. You have no one to refer back to get advice. People leave you. People just leave you out there bogus. That's how I view the world we living in as far as the black community. And then the fact that you're left out there with nothing, then people want to blame you for stuff that you had nothing to do with. You know, so I would hate to be a younger black man right now. I really would, because it seems like they get blamed for everything that literally had nothing to do with them.
Oh boy. I'm glad you came here to say that because I knew I forgot something. So I got a good friend of the family. Um, she was my younger cousin's girlfriend as a teenager. Salute to my younger cousin. You know, rest in peace, cuz. Um, so because she's a friend of the family, I'm all, you know, she's like family, so you're gonna look out for your people, right? But she's become, you know, bi over the years. And one day we was out, we was doing something, and her tire went out. And I'm pretty handy, you know, for the most part. I'm like you. You know, I can figure out how to fix it, and I'm gonna add this to what you just said in a second. So I'm just putting air in her tire, nothing major. And she's like, you don't realize that, you know, the guys in my age group, the majority of them don't know how to do even this. And I'm looking at her like, huh? She's like, I'm dead serious. Like, it's like, don't think all these girls out here just dating girls just because. It's like a lot of guys don't know what they're doing. I'm looking like, all right, okay, fine. And then something dawned on me maybe about 2, 3 weeks ago. I was at my woman's house, and something happened with something in her house, like a piece of her house. And for me, I'm looking at it like, okay, that's an easy fix. You got to do this, you got to do this, and then we get it fixed. No problem. So I went to Home Depot to get the pieces. Guess what? They wasn't at Home Depot. I went to Lowe's to get the pieces. Guess what? They wasn't in Lowe's. Guess what you got to do? You got to get these things specially made. Why am I saying this? Why am I putting those things together? It's because businesses have taken advantage of the fact that boys haven't been taught skills with their hands to the point that they discontinue things early and on purpose. So you have to pay somebody else to do it, or at least have to pay somebody else to bring you parts that should be out in the public already. Nobody takes into consideration that same thing that I see with cars nowadays. Well, you know, it's a new car. Like, I remember like about 5, 6 years ago, my homegirl needed a new battery. Not a big deal. I was like, you can't even people can't even assess problems anymore with smaller items because you're not accustomed to it. But I remember when I was like, oh, your car not starting because you need a battery. You probably didn't have. So anybody who doesn't know this about cars, I'm gonna tell y'all this now. Batteries normally last 2 years if you get a good battery. But if you get a battery off the lot, it's gonna be a cheap battery that lasts 1 year that they're gonna charge you the amount of a battery that you can get from AutoZone or a parts store. This go for a 2 or 3 year battery.
Mm-hmm.
So a battery should last you 2 years. It's either gonna go out in the summertime because it's too hot, or the wintertime because it's too cold. It's not gonna be in the fall or the spring. That's how it goes. So when your lights start dimming or flickering, or it just doesn't turn over, you got a car that don't turn over right. It's your battery going out, not really your alternator. But to put this battery in this car, I had to, when I opened the hood, you got to unplug this, to unplug that, to unscrew this, to unscrew that. And I'm looking like, oh, they did this on purpose. Because these parts don't even need to be here. Fredro, thanks, fam. These parts don't need to be here. What this is a way to get you to electrocute yourself just to try to put on a battery like people normally did.
They trying to keep kids away from the hot stove. That's
Right.
they hot stove. And I remember the same thing happened to me the first time I had to it was just like a light bulb went out, and on my headlight went out, and you know how you could just pop open the light, just go on, take one bulb out, put another bulb in. And the first time I remember looking at this where I couldn't figure out how to pop the lid off, it had me flabbergasted. I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be somewhere. And then I'm looking, I'm opening up the hood. I'm all through here trying to figure out how to pop this off. And I'm like, okay, they done put a bunch of mess right here just to make it difficult for you to just go in there and pop it yourself. So I already knew what direction the auto industry was going in years ago because I couldn't change a headlight anymore. And so that just told me everything I needed to know at that point. They want you to pay for everything now.
Because I used to love this when I'm on YouTube. I'll listen to women's channels, and this used to happen a lot. Girl will go live, she would do a video. You know what you hear in the background? What is that? That's her damn alarm. Her fire alarm, a smoke detector. She don't know how to put the battery in that sucker. Yeah, what's going on? Just take the battery out, put another battery in, hit that little button, reset. No big deal. But when I talk to older guys, all that stuff is easy. When I talk to younger guys, they don't know what I'm talking about. And I realized at a point, we're different groups of guys. Just like the street guys that I know, I would say the older men of 55 generation, they knew business. The guys around my age, they street business. And the guys younger know tech. So that's three completely different things.
And you know what I try to teach younger guys too? I try to tell them, learn how to read the map. Because it's not really necessary anymore. They got this GPS thing happening. I know guys who've been using GPSs ever since they've been driving, and they don't know how to get anywhere, And it's not just the fact that you don't know how to get different places. You can't even figure out a time range of how long it's going to take you to get from A to B. People can tell you how long it take them to get to work because they go there on a regular basis. But if you ask them how to get from one location in a city to get to another location in a city, a lot of them can't even figure it out because they have no idea where anything is. And how can you be comfortable as a man and not know how to get around? I was always taught that regardless of whatever's going on, you should know how to get home. Period. You should never be somewhere in the world and you don't know how to get home.
That's, I talked to my son about that. I was like, look, that's the difference between your age and my age. I knew exactly how to get home no matter where I was at. If I'm in my city, I know what street I'm on. I know how to get to a street that leads to the streets that I know. And the kids now don't know that. And I'm flabbergasted at that. I'm like, you mean you don't know how to get home? I don't know. I'm like, a dog. You like a dog. Like dogs run away and don't know how to come back. People shouldn't be like that.
And see, and the reason I say stuff like this is because as a young man, you got to learn how to be a leader to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Every young man has to learn to be a leader to some extent. And how can you lead somewhere and you don't know how to get anywhere? So, you know, that's to me, that's a big lesson that men need to learn. Turn them GPSs off, learn to read a map, start trying to figure out the lay of the lane. You could drop me off anywhere in America and I honestly could just go home. Period. Now, if I'm somewhere else from the world, maybe I need to go buy a compass first, but I still can get home. You know, there's nowhere on planet Earth you're gonna drop me and I can't get home. I know how to do it. I just gotta have the tools necessary to get it if I'm overseas or something like that. But I can get myself home, you know, and I just can't see how you can really start learning different things about leadership and you can't even do a simple physical thing of leading somebody to your own home. You know,
That
we gotta
I'm
have some
sorry.
standard. Now I'm just saying we gotta have some standard when it comes to beginning leadership.
Because you know what? I'm about to say something that people forgot. Because this is one thing that happened over the generations. My grandfather smoked cigars. Okay, but and my grandfather drank. He wasn't a big drinker, but he would drink like whiskey. You know, particularly whiskey or bourbon. But the one thing I remember about those old guys, they let you smoke a cigar or drink alcohol to make sure you don't want to do it. They didn't. I want to be grown. I want to be big. Okay, you want to be grown. Oh, so you grown now. Okay, you got to smoke that whole thing. You kids growing up, kid. I never want to do that. See, my granddad's generation made sure you didn't have a vice at an early age.
Absolutely.
As I got older, what I started learning, and you could put it on the time, you could put it on the single mother, whatever you want to put it on. People have been teaching you vices now. So now that from my granddad to my son's age, it's a completely different aspect of he showed you why you shouldn't smoke, even though he did, to now I'm gonna teach you how to smoke. He showed you why you shouldn't drink, and now I'm gonna teach you how to drink. That's a problem.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing.
That's just.
You gotta watch.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's too much of that. We gonna be friends with our kids. Like I never liked that concept when I first heard it even as a child myself. That you parents need to be more understanding to your children. You got to learn to be their friend. I never liked that concept at all. It was just something about me. I couldn't stand that concept. And even as a young boy, I'm sitting here thinking, why would I want to be friends with my parents? I don't want to talk to them like that. I mean, if I need something, sure, I like the fact that I can go to them and I can get something. If I need some advice, I still like the fact that I can go to it and get it now. But I've never wanted to be my parents' friend. And we have great relationships, but I don't want to be their friend. That they are at a certain level in life that I'm just not on that level, and I accept that I'm not on that level. I'm on the level of my brothers and sisters and my cousins. It's just a different level. I don't want to be my parents' friends. I'll do anything they need me to do for them. If they ever say they need something, I'll be there for them. I don't want to be their friend though. You know, to that concept just don't make sense to me. And I'm not gonna say anything bad about anybody who does want to be their parents' friend. I know people that drink with their dad and smoke with their dad and all type of stuff like that. I know girls that do it with their moms, but it never made sense to me at all. If you're gonna do something that we know we really shouldn't be doing, to me, you didn't do it in front of your kids. Now I do remember. Now I don't have kids myself, so like my best friend kid, who's basically my nephew. Yeah, just like you said, when he was like 13 years old, we made him drink. He looking trying to see what's going on with beer, so we made him drink a can. Man, he ain't drunk anything since. He like about 20 years old now, about to be 20. He still ain't drinking. He got no interest in it. because we made him drink one beer as a little kid because he wanted to see what it was like. And that was the whole purpose of it, and we always treat him in a separate manner. He knows he'll never be my actual friend like that. You know what I mean? There's a
Mhm.
separation between us. And I think that's healthy. To me, it allows children as they get older to learn to respect adults and have some type of respect for those who come before you. And I know you watch my show, so like when if Black Uru comes on and I step away for a minute, usually I'm gonna allow Black Uru to moderate what's going on because he's the senior guy there at the time. That's still me having respect for my elders. And if we don't want a generation that respects his elders, how can the elder really teach someone younger than them? Because you got to respect your teacher.
That's that's for us is the issue. I think we've been taught that an elder black man is not to be respected. He's got nothing to teach us. He's got nothing to show us. He has no knowledge that will be valuable to us being productive in society, which is an absolute lie. And now, because sometimes when I see this dichotomy with people my age when they're talking to somebody older, but not as much as you get older. But people younger, and I remember when I was younger how it existed, where the boys in particular had this weird relationship with black men in particular, where I didn't want you to tell me nothing, but I wanted you to tell me something. And it was like, you do realize, you don't realize this because you're young. Nobody is going to play that game with you, especially a grown man. And because those same black grown men can see when you are dealing with a non-black man, you want him to tell you something, and you're gonna actually listen to what he got to say. So now we have this whole different dynamic. You got it, Roger.
Yeah, what my thing is it just comes down to that respect issue. And I know when I say these type of things to because I say the same stuff I say on social media, I say it to people in real life. I have these conversations with people, and a lot of people think I'm talking crazy. But my thing is, how can you not see the result of having a separation between one generation to the next, where the younger generation respects the older generation? If everyone's a master teacher, you know, shout out to BGS. But if,
Shout
if
out.
everyone,
He is the master teacher. Matter of fact,
absolutely, absolutely. But see, if everyone has this mindset that they're the master teacher, how can you really figure out anything? I honestly believe it took me to somewhere near probably about 25 years old just to have the concept of how little I knew. We think we know everything. We don't want people to tell us nothing. And in life, you disrespect people that are closer to you because you trust them more. But you don't really trust people that you respect because they're new to you. And I don't even understand how that is a workable concept if you want to have a good relationship to somebody. You don't respect the people you trust, but you don't trust the people you respect. How can you advance as a people with that type of thinking? It's a setup for disaster, in my opinion.
that's. Oh man, you about to make me say what I didn't want to say today. Shout out to Chicago, West Side all day. West Side is the best side. This
I ain't
is
gonna
how
front.
people what about Chicago? This is how them young guys was getting killed and shot. That's how the streets were wild because they were more wild in the '90s than they are today. Let people act like it's wild today. It's not. No, no. I know better than that. What it is, oh, I ain't got to respect you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, guys wanted to roll over other guys, thinking that it was sweet, not realizing your homeboy actually got love for you, so he trying not to bring the hammer down on you. But you know what's gonna happen when you cross that line? You're gonna be the one surprised that your homeboy brought the hammer down on you because you thought he was soft for being friends with you. This is
Absolutely.
what started to happen. So now we're playing. Now people are. have this shock look on their face. Like that's what I clown about when I say, and some people understand, more men understand this than not. When you hit somebody in the face and they get that shock look in their eyes, like, oh my God, like you should have known this was coming. I didn't hit other people in the face. I don't know why you think you wasn't gonna get hit in the face. You
You know,
know,
I say on a regular basis, a lot of us got problems because we ain't been hit in the face. We
exactly.
don't know, we don't respect that level of danger that's always present when you're around other men. You know, no matter what, I've always respected. There's a level of danger when it comes to being around any other man. Even my friends. If there's a misunderstanding, now with my friends, I don't think it'll get really that far. But if you have a misunderstanding or somebody's playing games, and that's why I tell men to really watch the women that they deal with, because when women start playing games, it can get real dangerous. Because I actually had a friend and his wife was doing all kind of crazy stuff to him, and she would say stuff to him where she would try to lead him to believe that I would try to talk to her when he's not present. You know, and I'm not gonna say how much she really said or anything like that, because I don't know exactly what was, because I only got his side of the story. I never talked to her to get her side of the story. But it seems like she would say enough stuff to seem like we had some type of relationship that didn't include him. And I don't know how much of it is real, because it turned out later that he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but that created certain problems between us after a while. So I
Right.
think if she was feeding him certain information, plus he actually has a real illness, there was no telling how far it would go. And he was a military man himself, so for a few years I couldn't even allow him to come around me. And people was like, well, whatever problem y'all got, it ain't that big of a deal. Now it is that big of a deal, because what I'm saying, there was one time I was literally about to punch his lights out. You know what I'm saying? So, and then he's a military man. If we fight, ain't no telling how far it's gonna go. So for a while, I had to just simply keep him away from me, because I can't allow him to get into a fight with me. Because if I get into a fight with him, I'm gonna pretty much have to kill him. You know, and you know what I'm saying. And he was a big dude, so it wasn't gonna be no easy job. But the way I view men, as a friend, I should never have to fight my friend. I don't care what's going on. So that's why I'm always careful about who I allow to really be in my circle. And I always tell men to really make sure you got a woman that's on your side, because you can get into a whole lot of mess from something that never even happened, just off somebody playing with you mentally, dropping little things in your ear, trying to make something seem inconsistent to you. You never know how far that stuff is going to go. So it don't seem like a big deal to people, but as I always say, it ain't never a big deal until it's a big deal.
That you know what? Let me pivot on that a little bit. From the black men from 55 to 25, and I'm using 25 as a stretch. It's not a stretch now. It used to be a stretch. Um, when it comes to getting into it with other men or getting into it about women, when you get your life together, that dies down. That's why you see most grown black men really not getting into it like they did when they were teenagers or in college, because the poverty and the scarcity and the thirst of not getting enough sex created a powder keg of beef. But once you got your life together, you didn't have to chase women. Women were actually trying to jump on your program. So now you don't have all this beef with the guys. And the reason I say that is because older guys used to tell you, look, son, they used to tell you how to talk to girls because you didn't have nothing. But you didn't see them talking to women the same way they told you to talk to them, because they had stuff. This is where the jealousy came in. Appreciate it, Logic Spell, because I remember, when a guy have a car, the guy who, if I'm walking, I'm jealous because he could give her a ride and I can't. She don't want to walk with me. You know what I'm saying? So that's an issue. Now, as the older I got, I started realizing, when I go out and I see brothers now, it's like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Do I know you? It's not what nigga what you looking at. It's what's popping. How you doing? And I learned that when I was in my early 20s, but now I think times have changed so much where people aren't as mature as they should be from 18 to 25. You got it, Roger. My bad. The wine got me
Nah,
long.
nah, you, nah, you, nah, you fine, and that actually makes sense to me. And yeah, the older you get, the more maturely you should deal with these particular type of situations. And I never hung around guys who really, when it came to mess between women, we really just didn't take it there. We honestly had a rule. Now I can't say it's the best rule. I just know it was a rule that worked for us. When it came to women, if your girl tried to pull something with your man, the man had permission to go and do what he needed to do. Why? Because we knew if she was gonna mess with one of the homies, she'll mess with any nigga at that point. She's literally doing something to piss you off, you know. And I had a situation, and one of my best friends knows about it. I can't say 100% for sure that she was about to get down, but I know I walked into a room. Now, technically, it was my fault. She was in the room. I knew she was in the room. I walked in without knocking on the door first, so technically, it was my fault. Okay, but she was naked at the time, you know, and she like Roger, but she don't cover herself in any kind of shape, way, or form. She just look at me, her shoulders drop, like you know what I'm saying. Why are you just walking in on me like that? You know what I'm saying? It was no effort to cover herself. There was no scream like this was the most terrible thing or this is really embarrassing. So and at that time she was having trouble with him. So I kind of figured, okay, she's just doing something to try to embarrass him. And the best way to get at him or mess with his ego is sleep with me because I'm like his best friend. Now I didn't do it, even though I had permission to do it. I didn't do it because it was a pregnancy issue going on because she was steady claiming she was pregnant. Then she wasn't pregnant. She supposedly had miscarriages or whatever the case is. And she basically played that game till he got her pregnant for real. And I kind of told him that's what was going on because I seen this type of stuff in so many places beforehand, but he was the only child and he's from a single mother. So, he wasn't as exposed to information the way I was. So the fact that she could have been pregnant, my thing was like, I'm not going to do that because then if she was pregnant for real, now I done hit his baby mama. You know what I'm saying? So that don't go away. You know what I mean? So, if it wasn't for that type of situation, now I probably would have hit it because she was bad. You know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is, as men, I think we got to learn to value ourselves more. And something I teach on my show on a regular basis is that if you're a man and you're not really romantically involved with a woman, or you're not sexually involved with this particular woman, if this ain't a woman that clearly has a relationship with, maybe you already know her from school or something, or maybe I went to church together back in the day, or whatever case is. But if you don't really know a woman in one of those scenarios, to me, I need another man to vouch for your presence. Point blank, period. If won't no man vouch for you, I don't really need you around. I'm not cool with if I go out with a young lady and she want to bring two of her friends and because we're going somewhere and they want to go, I'm not cool with that because I don't know what type of dudes they gonna deal with. I don't know what type of dudes the dudes they want to deal with gonna get into. And the way I was raised, if you can't fight with a man, you don't need to be nowhere with that man. Point blank. So I got to trust your judgment that I can follow you blindly in the situation. If I walk into a room and there's something going on, I got to be able to know I can just start swinging and we can figure this out later. But I can't do that with a nigga who want to just go around and try to show off who he is, or he can't control his emotions. He's starting stuff that don't need to be started. Next thing you know, I jump into a fight that I don't know nothing about, and now I'm in court with a 10-year sentence, about to be levied against me. You know what I'm saying? So I really got to trust who I'm with. Unfortunately, a lot of guys ain't taught things like this.
That's because that's passed down from older guys to younger guys. I remember us being taught, I hate to say this too. When I was a teenager, they used to teach you the gang is like a family. And I used to laugh at that because all my friends was gangsters. They was all gang banging. Okay, it's the difference between somebody gang banging and a gangster. Let's get that straight too. People are gang banging and not necessarily gangsters. So let's get that together because there's a lot of people back in the 90s who were gang banging because they were scared and they needed somebody to have their back because they ran their mouth a lot, but they couldn't back it up. So let me throw that out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
what wound up happening is there was a certain the gang is family mentality because you didn't want to listen to grown men. And the one thing that I can say that helped me immensely, I wasn't raised with my father, you know what I'm saying, per se, the whole time. But I was never a kid who could, even if my father said something that made me angry, I could hear it. You know what I'm saying? If he said it in a tone I didn't like, I was like, I'm still a kid. I could hear it. If my grandparents could yell at me and I could hear them, and my mother could yell at me and I could hear her, I can't just, because it's my dad, I can't hear him. That's the stupid part that people do. You know, and that comes from this idea that the men are less than. And I learned so much more from the men who were older than me because I was able to listen to constructive criticism, whether it came in a nice tone or a not so nice tone. These kids, the kids younger than me couldn't deal with that. You know what? Shut up, Melvin. Yeah. Aqua Dragon. This is just me and Roger today, fam. I'm gonna be doing one-on-ones because I got a little thing. So don't sweat it. We'll do one of these another day. You, Jay's Kendall, same thing with you. Don't sweat it. But today is me and Roger because I've been on here for an hour and a half.
All right, you know what, LAR? I'm finna drop out and I'm finna drop back in because I'm on my phone
Go
and
ahead.
somebody's trying to call me. I'm not finna really take the call. I'm just finna drop out and drop back in.
All right, just let me. You need me to leave the link again or what? Okay. Well, you know what? Let me just put it up there just in case. It said, appreciate it, Aqua Dragon. TD Hush, what's popping? I'm gonna throw the link back in there for Roger for y'all. It's just for Roger, just in case. But this is where we at with it. I'm listening. I've been listening for years to older men, and I've learned from older men. And when I say things to younger guys, it's a whole different thing. I got you, fam. Okay. Tell me if I
Okay.
can't hear you yet, but hold up. You on?
Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
You good? You definitely is good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, something I noticed about my phone. If somebody try to call me while if I'm on air, for some reason the voice things drop and things like that. So I just rather come out and come back in.
No, I
So,
did it. The same thing happens with mine.
okay. Well, at least I feel better. It ain't just me. uh, yeah, but see, I think you know what I'm saying. We have this major problem that we as men don't even know how to respect other men,
Right.
and when we allow women to get us to the point where we don't even respect other men, we become idiots to a certain degree because we're being directed to do things that in no way is in our own best interest. And as a man, you're supposed to have some form of leadership. I'm not saying every man has to be the greatest leader, but you got to know something about leadership. And if a person can direct you on a mission who already doesn't make good choices themselves, and you will follow them blindly, there's nowhere in the world you can call yourself a good leader at pretty much anything. So I'm just not from that world where women get to make all the decisions. I don't get that. I ain't gonna never understand it. It's never gonna be right for me. Point blank. Period. Both sides of my families, being a man means something. You know, and even as a single man, I've never got to worry about fixing my plate if I go to a family event. Not because what I'm saying. It's not an issue that I don't have some woman to make my plate for me. The point is, you a man, some woman's gonna make your plate. Point blank, period. If you ever in Chicago and I take you to a family event, you ain't got to make a plate either. Why? Because you a man. It's just that simple. You don't have to qualify for this and qualify for that. And people don't have to respect you because you did this and respect you because you did that. You get respect automatically.
Yeah,
And,
that ain't society now, Jay.
Lord knows it ain't society now. But I think we got to get back toward that. But the only way for us to really push that is we as the black men that are being disrespected. We just gonna have to start demanding respect. Stop believing all this stuff about if you this type of man, people are just going to respect you. Now people respect who they want to. You know, a lot of people get taught these crazy beliefs about the way you are will have something to do with somebody how somebody else is going to treat you. Now, truth is, if you are a certain way, somebody may give you a greater level of respect, but respect gonna be there already.
Roger,
You know what I'm
hold
saying? You
on. Hold on. You just said something, and I don't know why this popped into my head, but I gotta say it. If you a black man or a black woman, I'm gonna tell you how messed up you wind up being at the end of the day. When your mother and father are alive, you rave about your mother when they're alive. When your mother and father are dead, you talk how good your dad was. That's become a norm in our culture. And y'all don't even, and a lot of times people don't even see it because it's dead daddy that get all the love. People don't talk about dead mama as much as they do dead daddy. And it ain't
real
just,
talk.
and I can say it ain't just me because I've been around too many people. I'm like, damn, I didn't hear you talking about your daddy like that when he was alive. I heard you talk about your mama like that. My bad, Roger. I just had to say it.
No, bro. I never thought about that concept. I'm just agreeing with you. I just said it absolutely because when I think about what you just said, I definitely see that. A dead black man is a great black man. But a man that's breathing and he black is a problem for most folks, and that's ridiculous in my opinion. Because that's not the world I have to deal with. And being a person that has two good sides of the family, like I never try to talk like I'm above other people just because I happen to be born into the families I was born into. But I will say that sometimes I take it for granted that I don't have to deal with some of the nonsense that other people have to. And I've literally told this to people like, you know what? I don't really like how the cut of your cloth. I'm gonna go on over this way. And I especially when it comes to different women I deal with, and I just tell them, look, your dysfunction, and I'm actually gonna do a show on this probably next week. But your dysfunction just ain't attractive. It's just not attractive to me.
Oh, I
And it's
got bro,
go ahead, go.
I got a video that's scheduled for 6 o'clock. Why the it girl became unattractive. When see, people don't realize this anymore. Like, see, even with the guy, like the older guys used to tell the younger guys, no, she ain't. That ain't the one. Dog. See, matter of fact, let me say this, Roger. You got it. You know what older black men used to tell you? Young blood, don't talk to her, talk to her. You might think this girl's more attractive. She fine, I get that, but she ain't the one, talk to her. You know what the guys you say, hey, look, you see her mama? Her mama still fine. Her mama not. She gonna be fine when she get old. She not. Talk to her. She ain't filled out all the way. You looking at her like she ain't got enough body. She gonna have body. And she got body now. She gonna explode when she get older. Talk to that one. What's up, Hatchet? You know what I'm saying? This is, the same thing happened about when guys told you about young blood. I need you to go out here, do this, and that. I'm gonna pay you for what you did when the day is over. But we didn't graduate. We wound up regressing to do this for your mom and them for free. The men, it was a completely different ideology. My bad, Roger. You got it.
No. What you saying makes a whole lot of sense, and it does show that enough men don't take into account their own leadership because, like, like at the end of the day, I'm still my mother's child, but my mother's a woman. So when we do certain things at certain family events, she not gonna try to direct me on what to do in this. My mother knows she can give me a suggestion. She can give me some advice. It's up to me whether I take it or not. But if certain things need to be done, the men are going to handle that. And if the men are handling something, my mother don't try to interject about what's going on or what should happen. And if she did, if she were to interject, not just myself, but any other man around are gonna be like, go on sit down, or go on to the kitchen or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna tell them, this ain't your world right here. We're doing this. The men are handling this. And the last thing we need is somebody trying to tell us what to do who ain't got nothing to do with the work that it takes to get the thing done. That's just not accepted amongst us. You're not going to direct me on how to do work, and you're not going to be a part of the work. It just don't make sense to us, you know. And when it comes to these women, there was always an older guy that was telling us, look at this and look at that. Yeah, she is fine. You know what I'm saying? But if she had problems, they'll tell, look at her mama. This is the woman that's directing the mama. I mean, directing the woman you're trying to deal with. If the mother's married, okay, that's a plus, because at least we know that girl saw a woman, you know what I'm saying, treating a man with a certain level of respect, because she's at least still married at this point. But if a woman if she's the daughter of a single mother, has she rejected training of her mother? And a lot of guys don't even look at that. You know what I'm saying? If to me, if you're the daughter of a single mother, you basically already got a strike against you. I already pretty much see that based on your family situation, y'all family don't take family as serious as I do. I can't say about somebody else, but you don't take it as serious as me, because to me, having a child requires a marriage. That's just the way I've always been. You know what I'm saying? And I did have one auntie that was like married and no, excuse me, she wasn't married and she had a kid. It took me till I was about 20 years old to figure out she was a single mother, because there was so many dads around. You know, I just never had that concept that I got an aunt that's actually a single mother. But now when I look at her, even looking at her now, I understand why she's a single mother. You know, the other women in my family, they agree with her the least. I'll say that. You know what I'm saying? The way she looks at men, the way she views men is very different than most of the other women in my family. So it makes total sense to me how she ended up being a single mother and everybody else was able to get a husband. It makes all the sense in the world to me.
That was part of the beginning of what I was talking about, where guys age 55, 40, and 25 have different experiences with their relationships with their mothers. And one of the things that I think I left out was when people demonize black men from that 55 group, from the 40 group, even from the 25 group. You can look at the 40 group and the 55-year-old group and answer the question that was going to happen to the 25-year-old group, which is a lot of the moms of that era, even if the dad was a deadbeat, she didn't have no man when you was grown. She didn't have no man when you was a teenager. She didn't have no man when you was a kid. So even if your dad was a deadbeat, how come she couldn't get along with nobody? See, even with the stepdaddy era, stepdaddies, few, a lot of them played stepdaddy role, but few of them married the women because of the bad attitude. And I know this to be true, because my mother, when she got married the second time, the reason she got married is because he checked her on her attitude and left her somewhere. And she had to be like, you know what? I need to stop acting like this. I knew she didn't date nobody when I was a teenager because her attitude was trash. You got it. You got it.
Well, you know what? That's why I honestly I recommend for black men to start breaking up with their girlfriends, because there's so many of them that's so unsatisfied with their woman. And my thing is, you already know the society is not about to really hold black women accountable. And if they even hold them accountable in the least little bit, it ain't gonna be that much. You know, if they actually break some real laws, it's hard enough to get a cop to even arrest a woman. You know what I'm saying? Especially a black woman. They do everything they can to avoid arresting a woman. And then they don't even get sentenced that much if they actually found out to be guilty. So if you won't even break up with a woman, she never has to improve herself before she goes to the next man. And I think, and a lot of men are unsatisfied with the woman they with, but they won't never leave a woman. And the crazy part is, there's so many men who talk about putting pussy on the pedestal, and I can't see how they don't have pussy on the pedestal when they're unsatisfied with a woman but won't leave. Why won't you walk away as a man? Do you really feel like you can't get another one? Like what is going on
No,
with you that you feel like that's the only one?
no. I mean, when it comes to that, I had to learn this a weird way, and this is going to say something about black men in particular of all age groups. Your standard of what a black woman is so low that you think if you leave a woman, you're gonna wind up with the same woman anyway. So why
Mm,
leave her?
mm. You, I never thought about it like that, but that actually makes some sense, you know. And and when it comes to things like dealing with another person, and I'm gonna do a show on this too, about alpha your way through it. When you talking about dealing with a woman, you ain't, that's the last thing you're supposed to alpha your way through. If that woman ain't gonna cooperate with you because that's what she wants to do, you'll never be able to do enough right for her. Point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? You gotta send her packing at some point. And I just don't get why men. Well, see, it's a lot of different lessons that they really come down to it. I've always taught you had to pay the cost to be the boss, and I've always taught to make decisions that you're not going to regret. Because when you die, when you're on your deathbed looking back at your life, you're gonna be thinking about your decisions, not everybody else's. You're gonna be thinking about your own. So I don't try to make decisions I'm gonna regret. And if I gotta pay the cost to be the boss, I don't want to pay for a woman that brings me misery. And there's a lot of guys that do that. They with a woman, he miserable, and yet they still paying to support this relationship. I don't
I'm
get
going.
that.
I'm gonna say it, and guys ain't gonna like it. Men, you hit the wall too, and I learned that from the guys who were 55 and up. See, a lot of guys, you can't alpha your way through hitting the wall because you hit the wall because you wasn't handling your business in life. See, a lot of guys don't want to say that, you could be fly, you can have game, but if you ain't fly in creating a fly life or a fly lifestyle, you ain't gonna be fly forever. You're gonna be just like you're gonna be the equivalent of a pretty chick who got too old and there's a new crop of pretty chicks showing up. So when I watch older guys, I'm looking at them like, say, bro, um, yeah, I remember all the stuff you used to say because I see the difference between the guys. There's the guys who got their life together, whether they were players or not, and the guys who don't have their life together, whether they were players or not. And the guys who got their life together all live the same type of way. The guys who don't all live the same type of way. And what I mean by that is the guys who got it together got a roof over their head and little to no worries. The guys who don't got it together, they hefty garbage bag. They hefty garbage bag guys, even at an older age, always moving.
The homosexual, huh?
Even like people don't take into consideration. When you see an older guy, he's in another apartment, in another apartment, in another apartment, in another apartment. You know what that is? It ain't just he's free to go wherever he want to go. It's he's not wanted he wears out his welcome everywhere he goes. See, if you were alpha, and people have alpha has changed with each generation. But at the end of the day, if you're really an alpha, as you get older, people want to be around you. You can't be an alpha and nobody wants to be around you. At the least, you're going to be a consigliere to the vast majority of people in your life. At the very least. But if I got chicks, see, do you have chicks at your disposal, or do a bunch of chicks have you at their disposal? That's a big difference.
Huge difference.
And the fact that guys who got it together can retire. Guys who don't got it together can't. Now I'm not, and I've said this before. I don't see rich men retiring. Rich men don't retire. They just keep doing it, whatever they doing to make money. But they at least they could, if they want to walk away, they can.
Right. The
You
option
other
is available.
Yeah. Other guys don't have an option that's available. It's just not. So I mean, I don't want people to get caught up in that, because everybody, I see it too. I'm an alpha. No, you not. I could tell. Listen, this is what y'all need to do if y'all want to look at an alpha. Look at a bunch of different men who were considered alpha males, and why did you know what? Hold up, Roger. I'll mute because I want you to respond to this particular. I got a boxing podcast. All boxers are considered alpha males, right?
True.
If you're a real alpha male, what if you could point out the one thing that they all have in common, because they all have completely different personalities.
True.
You got guys who are super refined, and you got guys who are super gutter. The whole spectrum, but they're all alphas. And people don't realize they all have something in common. And if you can't pick out that thing or those things, you have no idea what being an alpha is. As a guy. And I'm going to just say one of them flat out. They have no issue whatsoever with putting it all on the line in a confrontation. They just don't have to act like it.
Good point. Good point. And I actually earlier today, I actually put up I got this long list of shows I'm gonna do, and I actually gonna do a show about why I'm confrontational. Because confrontation don't mean violence. It doesn't mean it has to be negative, but it means when the issue comes up, you're not afraid to address an issue. You don't run from issues. You run to issues because you actually want a solution to your issue. You want to get the problem solved. But if you're not confrontational, it's up to everybody else to feel like solving your problem. And that's the world I never want to live in.
Well, you know what? Let me put it in more layman's terms. All alpha men love a challenge. A real challenge that tests who they are. Not, not this is a challenge, see if I can bang her. No. They're looking for a challenge that all these things that I said I am, I need somebody or something to prove it. They don't just say, I'm the man because I said so. I'm walking off into the sunset. That ain't a trophy. That ain't a notch on your belt. Yeah.
Well, I will say this. And I know it could be a dangerous statement to a certain degree because of what people have been taught. But when it comes to being an alpha, women just aren't involved. Yeah. And I know that's probably going to break somebody's heart. But women aren't involved in any level or way about being an alpha. If a woman could make you an alpha, everybody could be one.
I could do 3 simple things to break down the people that are alpha, that consider themselves alphas nowadays. 1.
Well, yeah.
No, look, what I'm about to say is going to be trifling. 1, either put down concrete for a foundation, for a house, or even you have to put up the frame. Let's see how alpha you are, because you ain't gonna want to do that because the work is tedious and hard, sweaty labor that you might break your back. 2, I'm gonna make you make a sacrifice that you ain't gonna want to sacrifice. And I guarantee if you're a real alpha, you're not gonna like it, but you ain't gonna be super emotional about it either. And 3, and it's gonna sound so petty, but so simple, but it's so real. Get you in an old ass car with no goddamn power steering or anti-lock brake system. And watch how I'm not used to this. I shut your ass up and drive the car.
I'm laughing because I know I've seen guys break down on those different things. I've been there. I've been there when we had old cars and we had to move. And as far as like laying down concrete stuff, because my family is involved in construction, we as the children of plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and all that, we had to do all that type of stuff too. And I've seen where, like, your friend to be over there, and here come dad or your uncle talking about, man, we about to do this, we about to do that. Because and see, and the only issue with being a child of one of those men, they don't call nobody. Like if something go wrong in the house, they ain't calling nobody. They just finna fix it. And if you they son, you just got a job. You know what I mean? Like I've never, I've never seen a painter come paint our home when I was growing up. My father had sons. That was us. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get the paint, and we up there doing it. Point blank period. And he had us up there doing stuff that I'm like, man, am I old enough to be doing all this? But man, we made everything happen. And if he really needed some help with something, all he gonna do is call one of his brothers. So if his brothers show up,
Mm-hmm.
his brother gonna be just like him to a certain degree, as far as he gonna start working. Oh, this is what you need some help with right here. Do this right here. Hey, boy, come over here. You know what I'm saying? Do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? He gonna put us right to work the same way, because we just extensions of him. So there wasn't no
Mm-hmm.
thought about, oh, we gonna get him a break because they young. Nah, if you was a boy, you just had to do the work, and it's just that simple. And I've seen people who are friends who really thought they was about something, and they got told to do some stuff, and I seen men break down crying over stuff they had to do because some real work had to be done.
I,
And
I
and, I,
love
and
that.
I'm gonna say this too. They were actually good at what they do. There was a suburb of Chicago where I call them my little cousins, the children of my cousins. So they really like second cousins. I had a
Mm-hmm.
little cousin who had a home. They had she had just got married or whatever. Her and her husband got a home. It was some malarkey going on with the little province or city they in, whatever the case is, whatever it's called. But they hit them with something talking about they need to pay like a $30,000 on something to get certain type of work done. And you know what I'm saying? If they couldn't get it done by a certain period of time, they was gonna have to leave the home. They was gonna have to pay these extra fees and all this type of stuff. You know. Now her mother done passed away, so she called her granddaddy. Her granddaddy, my uncle. You know, and it's so many men around us that once he got that call about what the problem was, about how the house doesn't
Paint up
have
the
all these
code.
different, right,
Yeah.
all these different things, right? All he do was he go over there and he start calling his brothers, and they start calling their sons. Now, when it actually happened, I personally heard about it somewhere around maybe 2.5 weeks later, maybe 2 weeks after this started. But because of how I'm raised, of course, I'm finna go over there and pitch in. By the time I call even pitch in, the house already up to code. Plain and simple. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just the way it was. We as the men of the family, if there's a problem, we just gonna go fix it. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to explain. We just gonna do it. Point blank. Period. You know. So that we saved her of about $30,000 worth of trouble, and all she had to do was call her granddad. You know. But to me, that's how family's supposed to be, and that's how men are supposed to be. We're supposed to be figuring out ways to get it done. Point blank. Period.
And that's what's missing, because that's what has changed over the years, because we're using technology to get things done. And there are a lot of jobs in society that technology ain't gonna be able to fix. Hate to break the news to you, technology can't fix everything. You're gonna have to get your hands dirty. And see, boy, screw it. So one of my best friends, shout out to you, Mo was having, if you in here, he told me this story that was funny. He says, my dad, I had to I went home to get my water pump. He was gonna fix my water pump. So he went home to his dad's house. He says, so I think my dad gonna fix the water pump. So he outside, we talking, he taking the pump off, and he takes it off. Bam, and he go in the house. And Mo was like, what you doing? He said, you saw me take it off, right? He's like, yeah, okay, we'll put that one back on. And I had to die laugh like,
I know that.
that's how the men, that's how you get it done. Because people act like fixing stuff is a difficult job. What who are older men are trying to teach you is maintaining everything that you own is not as difficult as a job that you think. It's just a hands-on job. And once you start doing it, The only rule that I know what old men is, the only reason you can't fix it is because you ain't got the tools. If you don't got the tools, that's a whole different story. But if you got the tools, get it done.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. You know, because you definitely, I was always taught you got to have a proper tool. That's for sure. Unfortunately, they never even gave us an excuse about not getting the proper tool. It was just figure out how to get it. You know, somebody.
Yeah, but
You
but
know,
that's changed nowadays because you can't call people for tools.
man,
That's
you ain't lying, L.A.R.
like you can't say, bro, you got it. And I see it all the time because what I see is like ironically, it's either old black men or older white men who have like a workbench in their garage. Or an older Hispanic man. I take that back because they be working on cars. I ain't never seen an Asian dude with it. Never seen an Asian dude with it. But it's usually, but those guys at least got to be around 50 years old. Everybody else don't do it.
I kid you not, L.A.R. A guy who I think is 25. I think he's 25 or maybe 26. Man, he just asked me for a pair of pliers today. You know, well, excuse me. So yeah, of course, I mean, I loaned him a pair of pliers. I'm not worried about it to that degree, but I even say to him, like, look, bro, make sure I get my pliers back. Oh man, I got to do this. I you know what I'm saying. He told me what he needed them for and all that, but I had to leave, so I wasn't going to be around him, no way. But I'm like, I just catch up to you later. But give me my pliers back. You know, to me, tools are a serious thing because my father was a carpenter by trade, so
Mhm.
you know,
You
we,
get
we
beat
we just
up.
don't play about tools. We don't
You
play
get
about
beat up for
tools.
losing a tool
I'm
or
saying,
not getting it, or somebody loaning it to somebody and they not giving it back. Oh, you might wind up getting two-piece because that's money. And with guys who try not understand, some guys might not understand this. This is about this isn't just about skill, it's about finance. Take something as simple as, would you rather buy a lawnmower in a trimmer, or would you rather pay somebody to come every week? I can tell you right now, if you buy a lawnmower and a trimmer in less than 6 months, it's gonna be paid for if you pay somebody to cut your grass and trim your yard every doggone week a month. And I'm saying this as a person was saying, go
you
ahead,
telling the
Ron.
truth. No, no,
Yeah.
no. You telling the truth. I'm just laughing because you know when I was growing up as a boy. Now see, I'm old enough that some guys may not have seen it really, but that push lawnmower, you know, not that electric one, that push
The old you talking about the old one with the razors, whatever the razor thing is on the bottom,
yeah,
the winder, shit, whatever,
yeah, yeah. We
whatever.
had we had that, you know, and I remember somebody tried to sell my father some lawn service. He was like, "Man, I got sons in a push mower. What you talking about?" You know. So every last one of us, we you know what I'm saying. He would never actually go buy an electric lawnmower of any kind. We honestly had to do the push mower thing, and it's hilarious to me because we all had to do it. I know it wasn't a financial issue, but they just couldn't afford one because this was happening all throughout my family. I would go to my cousin's house. You know what I'm saying? One of my cousins, he over there doing the lawn with a push mower. You know what I'm saying? Any cousin house I went to, they out there using the push mower. So like we laugh about it today, but our father just wanted us to use that to, so you know, they wanted us to you know, basically not be, I say I don't know how to say it, you know, but basically they ain't want us to be a bunch of soft hand niggas. I say that.
Look, I'm gonna give y'all some game. Like, I got a 1-story house, 3-bed, 2-bath. Now after a while, people have to get their roof fixed, right? Now I'm a person. I buy one of I buy a ladder that can get on the roof. You know, the ones that can go from 11 feet to 20 feet. That switch. It could either go straight up or it goes in the triangle. But this is the lesson I want y'all to understand. You get a 2-story house, you might not be able to fix the roof because the leaks in a 2-story house are harder to fix than the leaks in a 1-story house. Because for one, depending on the way the house is built, you might not even be on that floor. So the leaks might get worse, and you don't even know. And for two, with leaks in other people's home, I could fix on mine because I could just hop on the roof like that. But at the same time, you could go into the attic. Some people can get in their attic space, some people can't, depending on who you are, what size you are, this, that, and the third. But understand, everybody can't do it. So some people have to get a whole new goddamn roof because they can't fix a certain section. You can't take out some plywood and redo a certain section.
That's real talk.
That's what society comes. Because y'all gonna be using, and if you have to do that, use your insurance. My bad for cutting you off, Roger. Use your insurance.
I didn't mean to cut you off. and you know what I found out growing up at L.A.R? Because it can save you money to have certain knowledge. And I know I've saved a ton of money because things I don't know now, I still try to have my father, my uncles teach me stuff. Because I'm really trying to learn what I can from them before they get to the point they don't feel like teaching it anymore. So I'm trying to grab as much as I can out of them. And when I was growing up, I actually discovered, and I don't remember how old I was, but I might have been like 17, 18 years old. Like my father, my mother, they got a home. It was a 2-story home, but the second story was nothing but an attic. It was nothing but an attic. Now it's rooms up there, bathroom, everything now, but it was nothing but an attic when they got it. I found out later on down the road that my father and his brothers built the whole upstairs. So in our mindset, there's nothing you can't do if you just put your mind to it. So I've been living in a home this whole time thinking they probably bought a home with 2 floors on it and everything was good to go. And I found out him and his brothers put the whole thing up there. So we don't have that concept that you can't get it done. You just got to figure out what it's going to take you to get it done, but you can get it done. And I don't like the fact that, and I'm actually going to do a show on this too. I call it this participation generation. They are, and it's more than one generation, but these guys nowadays, everybody get a trophy. Nobody has to win. You want to be respected at the same level of other people who've accomplished far more than you. There's one guy I talk to on a regular basis. He like 28 years old. He always try to tell me how LeBron is the greatest ever.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, he always try to tell me how LeBron is the greatest ever.
So much and be so great.
Yeah. And my main point, and I ain't gonna turn this into a basketball conversation, but my main point to him, I said, man, you do know Mike won, right? And not only did he win, he was the Finals MVP all 6 times. Ain't nobody did that in history, bro. Not Bill Russell, not Larry Bird, not LeBron, not anybody else. And he's always trying to hit me with this LeBron the Great, and he's doing it again now because they don't want a championship. And I keep telling him, bro, I can't even discuss that with you until LeBron gets 6 Finals MVPs. Why? Because winning matters. And he's told me out his own mouth that to him stats matter. And if he was in the NBA and had a great career and never won a championship, it would mean more to him that he could say he's a better player than somebody else than to being on a winning team.
I'm gonna use that as an example of why it's an utter lie that stats matter. Because if stats matter, Wilt Chamberlain would be the greatest of all time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar will by far be the greatest of all time if stats matter. You know what I'm saying? If stats matter, how can I say this properly? Nobody would even question the greatest football player of all time is Jerry Rice. To me, he's the greatest athlete of all time in any sport because guess what? He's the only person statistically that nobody can assume that they can catch in their profession. There's not a wide receiver on the planet who thinks I could catch Jerry Rice numbers.
You're right about that.
That it just don't exist. Nobody, and they about to up the games to 17 regular season games, and it's a throwing league. And I'm still betting you're gonna be hard pressed for somebody to catch Jerry Rice numbers.
And you know what, LAR, I think that goes into all levels of life, because I think this is just my personal opinion. I think for the guys who think game is so important, I think that's kind of why they think it's so important, because it puts you in a position where you don't have to produce, you don't have to win. You know, when I was growing up, to me it seemed like as a man to deal with women, you had to win. Nowadays, I see, you know what I'm saying, I laugh at them. I call them these passenger side niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm driving past you and you in the car and you on the passenger side, like, bro, that's not your woman for real. That's you. You're borrowing somebody else's woman. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna be a dude who has something that's gonna take her anytime he want to. Now he may give her back to you. He may not give her back to you. But if you can't even get yourself to the point where you want to be the driver of the vehicle, how's she gonna respect you?
Now, like I tell guys, this is my thing with that, especially the passenger. I was like, if you're gonna be in the passenger side, I'm not gonna get mad at you for because I'm not gonna ask you situation. But if you're on the passenger side, either you better be tired, you better be paying for wherever you're going. Okay? And how can I put this properly? If y'all in a relationship, it better be your dog car. Them are the only three reasons you can be on the passenger side. And the you tired and you paying goes together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know, look, man, I'm tired. You got to drive. I didn't already pay for this concert. You drive the car and work all day. I just got out of the shower. You good? Let's go. So that's the only way. You know, I one of the worst experiences that I had as a black man, it was watching. It was karma in game. I give him that. So this guy is at a restaurant. This woman's at a restaurant. This guy comes up, you know, dressed up like he about to go out. He sit down with the girl, talk to her a little bit. She giggle, kiss. The food comes. He gets it to go, kisses on the cheek and bounces. And she's sitting and she pays for the food. And then when he leaves, she went from being happy to see the guy to this scowl on her face. And I was like, oh. Oh, you feel like a guy now, don't you? he just came and hit you with the I love you, boo. I'm finna take this food to the crib and me and my date finna eat dinner. 1-2 punch. And she was sitting there like, this mother.
They say what goes around comes around.
Right. So, and woman, as a man, I'm like, dude, that's trifling. That's trifling. But in this, the how society is like, now you know what it feel like, don't you? So you know, but older men will tell you don't do something like that. Nowadays, we saying that's game. That's not game. That's just trifling karma. That's what that is. That's not game.
No, not to me. I've never agreed with men having this idea that you should never do something for a woman. And honestly, every woman that or every young lady that's under my direction, I don't want them dating men that feel like they don't have to do anything for a woman. I don't see that as good at all. You know, because if we are encouraging women to work the same way as men, why are you tripping that too many of them act too much like a man? So it just it's not a consistent thought to me. And because my father has taught me the truth got to make sense at the beginning, middle, and the end, it's just something I can't accept. As a man, you have to be able to do something for a woman. You're not a good man if you can't do something for a woman. You know, you don't need that woman if you can't do anything for her. You know, that's just not your level. Deal with somebody else that you can do something for. You know, yeah, that's just how I see that. I just can't see why it's okay for any man to deal with a woman that he literally can't do anything for.
Let me. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm finna do it. Let me backtrack with this comment with Iman. If stats don't matter, then Tom Brady is the greatest football player. Then okay, from the generation of men that raised me, Tom Brady will never be the greatest football player ever. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, Iman, but Tom Brady would never be the greatest football player ever because he's tied to too many cheating scandals. Tom Brady will never be
Mm-hmm.
better than Joe Montana because Joe Montana is the Michael Jordan equivalent, never lost in the big game. But Tom Brady
Mm-hmm.
has tied the cheating with the first Super Bowl he won. I think with the third Super Bowl he won. I think the the fifth one, if I'm not mistaken. Because the Deflategate was cheating. When they got the other one, when they had to get fined by the Jets, that was a cheating scandal. The Spygate was a cheating scandal, and he was in all of them. And plus, it wasn't necessarily cheating, but the Tuck rule. That's never gonna. He's gonna be great for what he did, but he'll never be the greatest because that's being tied to cheat. That's like taking steroids.
Yep.
That's like if you found out Floyd Mayweather took steroids his whole career. He'd never be the greatest. He'd never be TBE then because he was on that juice.
Yep. Yep. And my thing is just winning matters, man. I'm sorry. I'm never gonna get to a place where winning doesn't matter. To me, it's mattered ever since childhood. Even when I was a little kid in school, you know. Now we didn't really take it because I know a lot of people come up in these situations where being smart is viewed as this extremely negative thing.
Right.
Luckily, I was protected from that. I went to a grammar school where being smart, we never got teased for being smart. We literally wanted to have or at least the classes I was in, the whole thing was about who can get the work done first and get the A. If you could get it done faster than somebody else, it didn't matter if you got a C. If you had to get the A and get it done quicker than other people to be the man.
Well,
That's just how we grew up
you
because
grew up.
winning mattered.
You grew up in Chi-Town too, right? So
Absolutely.
you gonna know where I said because where I'm from is really the outskirts of the west. It's west side, but it's not city. So what I'm about to tell you, I went to Proviso East.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay.
So here's the irony of that. I grew up with a lot of people who were honor students at the time. But some of those honor students wasn't really honor students because they was taking the easiest courses. So they weren't prepared for actual college type stuff. But on the flip side of that, people don't really, because this is what they don't know about black neighborhoods and black. There were so many honor students at that school that some of us get put in detention because teachers didn't want smart, especially black male students. Didn't want that. But after I graduated, now they have a magnet school. So I knew the brain drain all too well because guess what happened? You wanted to take all the smartest people out of the regular school because now y'all could just play basketball, wrestle, and run track. That's what y'all gonna be for perpetuity. And now you're gonna take the Fred Hampton types out of the school system and put them in the magnet program. So a lot of people don't realize, and I'm glad as I got older, I'm like, this is what's going on. I didn't realize that at the time because I had to tell my woman this a few days ago because people don't, at my high school at the time, I forgot what they called the other joint, like a Provo or something like that. This where kids who get suspended and expelled and go to jail instead of high school, they would send them kids to high school when they straightened up. So, so imagine, you got all of that dynamic in the same school. So
yeah, it sounds crazy.
yeah, because we had this, the 20-year-old seniors and a dude who caught a felony, an adult boy, and he the chief, but he got in trouble, but now he can come back to school. He might hoop, he might play football, he might do something. You know what I'm saying? I was like, a lot of people that I grew up with, we got all Americans that's dead or locked up. Like, that's the root. And we got guys who are hella smart that's gone. You ain't never seen them. And I don't live there no more. You get what I'm saying? I left in the late 90s.
I feel you. You left at a good time then. You got to see some championships. So Yeah, and you're right about that because when I look at the things that happened to this, because I went to one of the better schools. I ain't gonna say what it is, but I went to one of the better schools in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? You had you had to get in. They wouldn't just take anybody. You know, and looking at the type of stuff they started doing to that school and different other schools. You know, if you the wrong color and you perform too well, they got to change who's in charge and things like that. A lot of nonsense definitely went on. So black people would not get credit for being educated. You know, I saw a lot of that going throughout the school system.
Some people
Um,
don't. Some people don't understand. They might Mount Carmel's, Fenwick's, freaking St. Joseph's. You know what I'm saying? Holy
mhm.
Cross. You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff. Downers. You know, Hinsdale, Wheaton, Schaumburg. I can, yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Evanston. I remember Evanston too.
Yeah, it was a lot of shady business going on with these school systems around here. You know, and but I'm gonna pretty much end it here, L.A.R. because I'm honestly I'm out here getting this money, and I'm about to
You
go
know
into
what?
this location in a second.
I'm gonna say this. Everybody, y'all have a great day. Make sure Roger get this extra. He gonna get extra money in this joint. Get double, triple time. So y'all have a great day. Peace, everybody. Thanks, Roger.
All right, take it easy, L.A.R.
You too.